Welcome to the Mum CEO podcast. I'm your host, Esther Roach. Join me as we explore the dynamic intersection of motherhood and entrepreneurship. From the challenges to the triumphs, we're here to unravel it all. Get ready for insightful conversations, practical wisdom, and a whole lot of inspiration. Let's embark on this empowering journey together. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Mum CEO podcast. I'm your host, Esther Roche, and today I'm joined by Mandy Legg, who's got such an incredibly inspiring journey. Mandy, would you like to introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Hi, Esther. Thank you for inviting me on the show. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. And yes, I'm a mental health speaker and author, and I've had a long career in community arts and children's services. In a nutshell, that's who I am.
Well, in a nutshell, there's quite a lot there, isn't there? So, obviously, I've met you before and I've heard you speak, and I know that your journey hasn't been what it seems now to get you to where you are currently. Give us a little bit of background about your sort of professional background, if you like.
Yes, so I did a degree in psychology and sociology, human biology, and then I did a postgrad teaching and worked in community arts and directing arts organisations in Brighton, Derby, Milton Keynes, and then followed that up with 11 years in children and family practice, working with families with complex needs. Yeah, and then on to taking the sabbatical and being the mayoress.
Wow. So that's quite a journey. I know that you're a mum and your daughter is not young anymore. Well, she's still young, but she's she's obviously doing her own thing now. But at which point in your career did you actually start a family?
I was working as director of the community arts organisation in Interaction MK, and yeah, so I'd been there for about 5 years when we decided to have our child, and yeah, she's 27 now. Yeah, so I work full time, and I took 6 months off and 6 months half time when I had my baby, and I think it was all about being able to develop a support network around yourself was the key thing in the early days. I used to take her actually to work a couple of days a week, and the granny used to come, and there was a room upstairs, and she was able to be in the same building, and until she started walking and trying to find me. So that was quite nice to have that flexibility, and then she went to a nursery over at the Open University for until she started school. So yeah, and then started school. I remember the first day and coming out, collecting her, and all the mums going off to the park, which was right next to the school. And I just moved to that area, so I didn't really know many people on that estate. And I thought, right, I need to find the smiliest people to be friends, make friends with, so I can build like a little network where we help each other. And and two of those, I made 4 friends at that point, and 3 of them are still friends now. One moved away, so yeah, they've been lifelong friends.
Oh, wow. That's so incredible though. And I love the fact that you were able to take your daughter on, which I think we could so much do with today, in today's society, because it's really, childcare is just one of those things that's really, really difficult for a lot of parents, really. And, it's really interesting. One of the things that you mentioned there about the importance of building the network, what would you say to somebody else who's sort of a bit wary about building that community and having people around them to support them, whether it's business or whether it's even with children, basically?
Yeah. And I think growing up in a small town in Gloucestershire and working in a newsagent toy shop in the middle of the town, I've always been very much a people person, so I knew everybody in the town. They knew me by working in there, and that kind of ethos has always followed me in whatever I've done. And working in community arts, it was a big thing. So yeah, and sometimes it can be quite hard to reach out when people might feel isolated, and perhaps they're more introverted, don't have a strong kind of desire to kind of reach out to people. But I think if there isn't someone around to talk to about those challenges that they experience in early motherhood and adjusting to that change of being kind of, free in your own life and then having the baby and all that means, I think it's really key to, whether it's an online friend, like some people like to connect in Facebook communities and make connections online, and that whether it's face to face in the school playground or where it is, sometimes it's easier online for people, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's quite, like you mentioned there, with regards to some people being introverts and stuff, it's quite daunting to just try and make friends when you're not used to it. But I think it's, a lot of the guests that I've had always talk about the importance and, emphasize on how it is great to have that support network. Otherwise, it's very, very hard to try and do everything, yourself. But you've not only just stopped at obviously being mom, you've done quite a few things, and then quite a few businesses. You seem to have always been busy and working and just doing something. But I just want to look at more into your role as the mayoress of Milton Keynes. How did that even come about, and how was that experience for you?
And my husband's been a counsellor for 24 years, so he works full time. So when he was asked to be mayor, he said, "No, I can't. I work full time." But we were able to do it together. And I took a sabbatical from my role in children's services and was able to do a lot of the daytime events while he was working. And we just worked as a team, and it was an amazing experience because we got to see so much of what's happening in Milton Keynes and the voluntary sector, the community groups, the businesses, and all the key events that were happening within our calendar. It was amazing. So it was such a good experience to be able to have that privilege of serving our city in that way. And we had as a theme mental health, so health and well-being. And within that, I wanted to share my story on that platform of my mental health journey to help reduce the stigma and just to show people that there is life and a career after mental illness, and not to give up. So we did that, and I brought together 25 of the key people working with young people in mental health, and we held some deep dive conversations, and it was all about connecting up the different clinical, voluntary and public health, all key people working in that space. So it was just an opportunity to raise awareness and to really help to reduce stigma in our city, both with adults and children.
Which is an incredible thing. And, it brings me to my next point, where I just want to find out about, obviously mental health is a very big thing for you. And I just wanted to find out, obviously, it's one of those things. I don't want to use the term obstacle, but it's something you experience. But if you can talk to us about your experience and what you actually did and how you managed to come out through to the other side, basically.
So at the age of 30, yes, I was working in Derby at the time, managing a community arts charity. And I was literally like, one day I was kind of building an outdoor kiln with a group of children, writing funding bids, managing the team. And then within a very short space of time, I was sectioned under the Mental Health Act and having an episode of bipolar disorder. And I was in the hospital under section for 2 months. And I took my camera in with me as an artist. It was like that came with me when I grabbed my things to go. And when the ambulance came and took me to the hospital. And that experience, it was all about how to capture what I was experiencing with the camera. The camera was a bit like a lifeline. So there was a man I used to go out and walk around the grounds with, and he'd say, bring your camera. And what happened was I was capturing those images, and my friends would take the films away because it was in the days of film
Yeah.
and camera and being developed. And yeah, they bring them back, the photos. And I got some mountain board when I was out on a visit for an afternoon, and I was making these collages in the night. So I've been doing a lot of writing already, and that was combining with the photos on these boards on the floor when everyone was quiet at night. And then when I made 20 of these boards, I just put them up in the games room and shooed everyone out and said, I'm putting my exhibition up. And it was like, I then invited them into my private view. So it was kind of like my way of kind of holding on to who I was in that environment was to keep my camera with me and create something. And that really captured the attention of gallery curators because it was a unique kind of exploration inside somebody's mind and inside their experience with the camera and writing. So I then, when I left the hospital after the 2 months, I did a few months later go back and capture some more images, and that exhibition that I first showed in that hospital games room became something much bigger, and it toured galleries nationally, and it was shown on BBC2 and ITV, and I did speaking alongside it as well. So yeah, it was kind of like out of that experience came something really creative and unique at the time. So yeah, and that's really always that experience has been kind of very shaping in terms of everything I've done since then. In terms of the community arts, that it was much more engaging in the way I worked with people that had experienced mental health issues, and within working with the families, obviously I took it into there. And in the mail year, again, like I said, I put it out on that platform, and then following the end of the year, I now set up as a mental health impact speaker.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, it's been an amazing journey.
Yeah. And the thing is, so did you ever experience anything like that before you were sectioned, or this was just a one-off that just came from nowhere, really?
In the terms of the extremeness of that episode, that was a one off, and before that, I think like a lot of young people do, I experienced anxiety and
Mhm.
yeah, panic. I had panic attacks as a young person, um, and that I guess it kind of that element was always there. And since coming out of the hospital, I was told I'd be on the medication for life. But being a man who had been on it a very long time and in the hospital, I felt like that wouldn't be for me. And I was able to come off it over time. And obviously, to have my child, I needed to come off it. And yeah, so, and life, life is a bit of a roller coaster. It's
Yeah.
the ups and downs that, I feel things really kind of, I'm a very sensitive person. And yeah, so but I've kind of found my own ways of working through what I was experiencing, I guess, in terms of mental health. I use lots of different strategies. If I'm going to deliver a talk and I start feeling like a bit of anxiety brewing up, I'll use a technique like Paul McKenna does these hypnotherapy tracks on anxiety. So I use something like that, or I use meditation or breathing, or yeah. So I've learned how to kind of work with what life gives me, I guess.
Yeah, and I think it's like anything really in life that, unless you actually have the tools to deal with what is going on, it's very difficult to just, to sort of try and deal with it. And, I'm interested, and I think the audience would be interested on, what kind of things do you think others should look out for? Because I think one, we've got the issue of stigmatization about this. And we probably have issues of even people personally not accepting that this is a problem that they need to address or deal with. What sort of advice would you have for anybody who feels something, but they're not quite sure what is going on, basically, before it gets bad?
Yeah. And I think in terms of me, it came out of nowhere. So there wasn't really a chance before that for me to feel like something was going wrong, because it was so kind of sudden in a few days in the big peak. I mean, people were noticing in the days leading up that I was kind of behaving a bit erratically. I was forgetting to do things and going to theatres and sitting in the toilet writing throughout the whole show when my friend was sat in the theatre. You know, different things were happening that were out of the ordinary. And eventually, yeah, people did put two and two together and realise that there was something going on. And the doctor was then consulted by my family. And yeah, so sometimes it does come out of nowhere like that, but sometimes people can feel like a very slow build up of things, and it's at a point where you feel that it's impacting on your life, that you need to kind of take intervention from, whether it's your GP or some therapeutic intervention. It's looking at what might be best. So yeah, there are on websites like Mind have got lots of information on where to signpost for different services that might be appropriate. So yeah, that would be my advice. Is sometimes you literally don't know what's happening and it all kind of overtakes you. Yeah, it does slowly build up. I mean, in the summer after I'd finished with the mayoral year had ended, I'd left quite a bit of space. Just I thought, oh, I'm going to be tired after that huge year, which it was. It was amazing. It was exhausting, but yeah. And that space afterwards, it was almost a bit like a grief, because it kind of, you're doing like 7 or 8 events a day, and then it suddenly comes to an end. And it was quite a transition and adjustment to that for me, because I'd thrown absolutely everything into it for the year. And yeah, so I was feeling a bit like a grieving process. And for a few weeks, I was like, I kept crying. I didn't know why I was crying. And it was like, yeah, it's like I was just crying all the time. You know, a couple of weeks, I could kind of understand that, you know, I was transitioning, and those feelings were emotional feelings, and it passed. You know, most things do pass in that way. But if it had continued beyond sort of 2 or 3 weeks, I would have looked at what intervention, maybe some short-term medication, or looking at what else I could do to manage that situation. But luckily it did pass, and I did a lot of swimming in the river and paddle boarding and just being out in the summer, you know, in the sun with my friends and talking to them about how I was feeling. And yeah, there were people around me that kind of helped me through that.
Yeah, and I think it's, you know, another important thing which I really like, that, you know, you were able to sort of rebuild yourself because of the support network. Because if nobody noticed there was any issues or any difference, nobody would have probably contacted for the medical support or anything like that, because nobody actually knows you or what you're going through. So it does make a difference, I think, when you have those relationships where people are genuinely looking out for you, and sort of know you as well, which is great. And you know, one of the things I also like about you is you've had so many different things happen, but you don't let age be the boundary of anything that you do you?
No, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I'm in my 60s now, so it's like, yeah, I've started a business and become an elected member as well for Milton Keynes Council. So yeah, since the mayoral year, I was asked to stand for the council for Labour, and that's been a new journey as well, which is huge learning curve and been amazing. And yeah, setting up my business, I do get very frustrated with a lot of the technical things. So, so yeah, sometimes I think, oh, what on earth am I doing? So much technical stuff that can go wrong, and it's like, oh, working it all out. But yeah, I normally find a way, or find someone who does know the way through it. I did the Iffy Thomas's 90-day paid speaker program between September and November as my kind of transition into this new role. And yeah, and she's been amazing, supporting with me, helping me with her team building the website, and with a copywriter, and with creating my speaker reel. And then I discovered that her copywriter had worked with her on her book. So I said, "Oh, I wrote this book 15 years ago. I haven't really done anything with it. What can we do with that?" And you just had a look, and I refreshed it, and she gave it a good looking over. And yeah, so now that is being printed as we speak. It's gone through to the printing process. So I'm making one print, and then that's okay, I'll run off a little run and have a launch and see where that takes me.
Well, congratulations. It looks like a lot of things are happening for you. And I think the key word there is learning, which is what you've mentioned, that, we don't know everything, and you learn through the
Yeah,
process basically. But, I know your book is called Hold On to Yourself.
yeah,
What is it about? Give us a little glimpse for the
yeah.
audience.
So it's basically it's the story of my experience in the hospital. So when I talk about holding on to yourself, it's like whilst I was in there, my camera was one of the ways I was holding on to myself, and building a village around me in the hospital as well, a community that was very important. So there was the man I played table tennis with every morning, and another woman we'd lay and listen to sad songs, one speaker each, and cry together. And then there was George, who we'd walk around the grounds, and he'd say, "Bring your camera." And the night nurse, who was really kind and supportive. And yeah, so it was like there were lots of people in there that kept me really, the person I was, because you could
Mm.
easily lose yourself in that environment.
Mm.
The first 2 weeks, I didn't even have the right name above my bed. So it's like you think, "Oh my God, I've lost my name. What else am I going to lose in this situation?" And you certainly don't have a voice. I mean, at the point where I was trying to establish when I was going home and what was going on, why were they keeping me there? Because I'd been sectioned and taken away in an ambulance. It was literally like, I just wanted to know what's going on,
Yeah.
and asking that question and knocking on the door of the psychiatrist and being chased away by 6 nurses and an injection put in my bottom. It was like
Oh
a
no.
total violation in that situation at that point in time. That was 30 years ago. It has changed now,
Yeah.
and the Mental Health Act, it's going through changes at the moment in Parliament. So yeah, hopefully that aspect of some of the ways that I was treated, yeah, you did have to hold on to who you were, and yeah,
Mm.
so that's what the book's about. And it's really the biggest part of it is my story of that experience, and then the looking at the kind of where I've kind of come on to since then, and some of the strategies that I use and the tools to keep myself in a balanced emotional state.
Yeah. And it goes to show though the power of storytelling, because you're not just making a difference to yourself, I suppose, for you, I hope when you're speaking about it, it's kind of like part of your healing process, if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
It
And
is, yeah.
yeah. And also by sharing with other people is kind of like hoping that, those people that are in similar situations or getting out of whatever situations they are also able to kind of relate and realize that there's more to life basically, and you can fight and you can come through to the other side as well. So it's just incredible, really. It's just the resilience and the determination you have. I just applaud you for just going through that and being able to help other people with it as well. So, do you have any time frame when your book is likely to be available?
It should be by the end of February,
Oh,
yes. So very quick.
oh,
And
very, very quick.
yeah, and I think what you were saying in terms of other people and the impact that speaking and showing the exhibition, and when the exhibition was up, it was like the people would talk, like you say, they'd come and share their own experiences, and it was a way of opening up conversations. And at that time, 30 years ago, obviously mental health wasn't spoke about in the way it is now, and for people to see their experience validated on by being shown on in a gallery, that was very empowering for people to see that. And yeah, whenever I've spoke or shown my work, it does open up lots of conversations, and it we find, it's not just healing for ourselves, because it is for me personally going on that journey, but it opens up other people's route to healing as well, and sharing their story.
No, it's just incredible that you're able to do that, and sort of commit your time and your efforts basically to supporting a wider community. So that's absolutely incredible. And with regards to, obviously you do the speaking, and you do loads of things. Or where can people find you, if they want to connect with you or work with you?
My website address is www.mandylegg.com. So there is a contact on there, and I'm on LinkedIn as Mandy Legg. And so one of the technical challenges I'm having is something's happened with my profile at the moment, so just leave that a few days. It will be back up and running soon. Okay. So those are the key routes to contact. And thank you.
No, thank you so much. And is there anything you'd like to leave the audience with?
I think tips? In terms of just never give up. Whatever your age, if you've got a passion and a dream that you want to create, and this dream has been part of my dream in the speaking over the last 20 years. When I first went to see Tony Robbins in America and did his amazing programs, that it's been my dream. So don't give up on your dreams. It might mean like I needed to continue in full-time work while my daughter was at school and going to uni, because they're expensive times, but there is always a time that's the right time for you, and things will line up. So just don't give up. Find a way.
Fantastic. No, thank you so much for sharing that, and also the importance of sort of investing in yourself. I think sometimes we think, oh yeah, I have to do it now, but 20 years it's a long time, and obviously your dream is just being realized now. But it's like you said, it's never too late, and you keep persevering, isn't it? And it's absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing with the audience. I'm sure a lot of people will resonate and obviously find it useful really when they listen to the episode once it goes out. And your details will be on there as well, so that they can connect with you and continue sharing and helping, I suppose, each other and helping other people. So it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Esther. It's been an absolute pleasure for me too. Thank you.